Reading for years 3 and 4, and this is week 7. Our unit focus is to read and extract from the Fantastic Fox by Roald Dahl. We will be focusing on the following: exploring the thoughts and actions of a character, describing a character, and learning to use a range of conjunctions to join clauses. We will also have a Viper's focus throughout the unit of learning. Today's learning objective is to explore the thoughts and actions of a character and the success criteria. I can explore the thoughts and actions of a character. I can also describe the thoughts and actions of a character. I can even use evidence from the text to support my description of a character. Let's take a look at some of the vocabulary that we will find in the text that we read today. And our first word is smothered. What does smothered mean? Let's take a look. Say covered in. And a sentence example: she took a slice of chocolate cake and smothered it in cream. Blighter. Have you heard of this word before? What does it mean? A blighter is a person, normally a man, who is unpleasant. And a sentence example: the blighter stole my purse. Our next word is delicately. What does this mean? It is in a careful or gentle manner. And a sentence example: he stepped delicately over the broken glass. And finally, glumly. Have you heard of this word before? What does it mean? It is in a disappointed or unhappy way. And a sentence example: she stared glumly at her plate. Okay, so we are looking at Fantastic Mr. Fox, and we shall take a look at the front cover of the book. What can you tell about the fox? Do you think he is the main character? What is he doing? What kind of character do you think he is from the clues in the picture? Is he sneaking about? Has he stolen something? Have a good look. What do you think? What does this front cover suggest? Okay, we are now going to read Fantastic Mr. Fox, and today we will read chapter 1 and 2. Chapter 1, The 3 Farmers. Down in the valley there were 3 farms. The owners of these farms had done well. They were rich men. They were also nasty men. All 3 of them were about as nasty and mean as any men you could meet. Their names were Farmer Buggis, Farmer Bunce and Farmer Bean. Buggis was a chicken farmer. He kept thousands of chickens. He was enormously fat. This was because he ate 3 boiled chickens smothered with dumplings every day for breakfast, lunch and supper. Bunce was a duck and goose farmer. He kept thousands of ducks and geese. He was a kind of pot-bellied dwarf. He was so short his chin would have been underwater in the shallow end of any swimming pool in the world. His food was doughnuts and goose livers. He mashed the livers into a disgusting paste and then stuffed the paste into the doughnuts. This diet gave him a tummy ache and a beastly temper. Bean was a turkey and apple farmer. He kept thousands of turkeys in an orchard full of apple trees. He never ate any food at all. Instead, he drank gallons of strong cider, which he made from the apples in his orchard. He was as thin as a pencil and the cleverest of them all. Buggis and Bunce and Bean, one fat, one short, one lean. These horrible crooks, so different in looks, were none the less equally mean. That is what the children round about used to sing when they saw them. Chapter 2, Mr. Fox. On a hill above the valley there was a wood. In the wood there was a huge tree. Under the tree there was a hole. In the hole lived Mr. Fox and Mrs. Fox and their 4 small foxes. Every evening, as soon as it got dark, Mr. Fox would say to Mrs. Fox, "Well, my darling, what shall it be this time? A plump chicken from Buggis, a duck or a goose from Bunce, or a nice turkey from Bean?" And when Mrs. Fox had told him what she wanted, Mr. Fox would creep down into the valley in the darkness of the night and help himself. Buggis and Bunce and Bean knew very well what was going on, and it made them wild with rage. They were not men who liked to give anything away. Less still did they like anything to be stolen from them. So every night each of them would take his shotgun and hide in a dark place, somewhere on his own farm, hoping to catch the robber. But Mr. Fox was too clever for them. He always approached the farm with the wind blowing in his face, and this meant that if any man were lurking in the shadows ahead, the wind would carry the smell of that man to Mr. Fox's nose from far away. Thus, if Mr. Buggis was hiding behind his chicken house, number 1, Mr. Fox would smell him out from 50 yards off and quickly change direction, heading for chicken house number 4 at the other end of the farm. "Dang and blast that lousy beast," cried Buggis. "I'd like to rip his guts out," said Bunce. "He must be killed," cried Bean. "But how?" said Buggis. "How on earth can we catch the blighter?" Bean picked his nose delicately with a long finger. "I have a plan," he said. "You've never had a decent plan yet," said Bunce. "Shut up and listen," said Bean. "Tomorrow night we will all hide just outside the hole where the fox lives. We will wait there until he comes out. Then bang, 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 bang." "Very clever," said Bunce, "but first we shall have to find the hole." "My dear Bunce, I've already found it," said the crafty Bean. "It's up in the wood on the hill. It's under a huge tree." You are now ready to start learning activity 1. So, what do we find out about Mr. Fox? Were the clues from the image at the beginning of the lesson accurate? Why are the farmers so unpleasant? What do you notice about the farmers' names? Have another look at them and see if you can guess. Are they right to be so cross? So are the farmers right to feel so cross? And is Mr. Fox right to steal from them? Devise some questions you could ask any of the characters. So think of some questions that you could ask some of the characters. So complete learning activity 1. This is your final learning activity today. And this is learning activity 2 with our Viper's focus. I will just run through this with you. V for vocabulary. What words show that the farmers aren't very nice? Find a word that means short. However, the word should not be to do with size. Rather, it should refer to patience. What phrase shows that Mr. Fox loves his wife? I for infer. Why is Boggart so fat? How do you know Bunce is short? Do you think Bunce's diet is good for him? And explain your answer. Why might Bean be so thin? And do the children like the farmers? P for predict. Predict what will happen when the farmers hide outside the tree. E for explain. Why might Roald Dahl have used alliteration for the farmers' names? Do you think it's right for Mr. Fox to steal? And explain your answer fully. R. Retrieve. How many farms were in the valley? What were the farmers' names? What does Boggis keep? What does Bunce farm? What does Bean's farm produce? Where does Mr. Fox live? How did Mr. Fox always avoid getting caught? S for summarise. Use one word to describe each of the farmers and explain your choice. Summarise the farmer's plan in 20 words or less. Plenary. Create an extra farmer that could join Boggis, Bunce and Bean, whose name also begins with the letter B. How is this character different but also just as horrible? Reflection. How well did you do today? Did you achieve the success criteria? Well done, everybody. You've worked really hard today.